So very warm welcome to all of you to our next module. I would like to congratulate all of you that we have finished two modules. So today we'll begin the third module, which is the Bhagavad Gita first six chapters. So today we'll be covering the first half of the first chapter. And let us start by invoking the blessings of the Acharyas. ॐ ज्ञानतिमिनन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं जयगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांतो राधा कांतो नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। प्लीज रिपीट हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे। One last time. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, very warm welcome to all of you. So today we'll be covering the first half of the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So this is the bird's eye view of first chapter. So in the first sloka, Dhritarashtra is asking a question to Sanjaya. So Sanjaya is given the divine vision of seeing the scene of the battlefield as it is, just like a TV, right? We can see so many things. We can see a tennis match happening in some other part of the world. Similarly, Sanjaya has this TV vision of the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Just like there is Star Sports, there is Mahabharat Kurukshetra also, some channel like that. So in the first verse, Dhritarashtra is asking a question to Sanjaya. And Sanjaya has got this vision by the blessings of Vyasdev. Vyasdev is his spiritual master. So Dhritarashtra is asking that Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yoyotsava Mamaka Pandavaschava Kimakurvata Sanjaya. So he asks that what are my sons doing on the battlefield? So it is Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetra, like the place at which the battle is happening is Kurukshetra, which is very auspicious, which is the Dharma Kshetra. Most of the people perform ritualistic activities and all the yagyas that is performed there on Kurukshetra. And on this battlefield, both of the sides, the Kauravas and Pandavas, are assembled together. So what did they do? And it's like a silly question, right, from Dhritarashtra, because obviously, like, they are assembled on the battlefield, so they are assembled to fight. So this silly question actually indirectly denotes the weak-heartedness of Dhritarashtra, because Dhritarashtra was a little bit worried about his sons because they were about to fight with with Pandavas. Kauravas are about to fight with Pandavas, and all the symptoms were very auspicious. Like the battlefield was religious, and Krishna was on the side of Pandavas. And then we will see that Arjuna was having a chariot which was given to him by Agni, and on his flag there was Hanuman. So Hanuman is a symbol of victory because Hanuman accompanied Lord Ram, and Lord Ram became victorious on Ravan. So that's why Arjuna had Hanuman on his flag. So everything was on the side of Pandavas. Although Kauravas had the huge army of Krishna, and the Pandavas' army was very, like, I think 1/10 of the times of Kauravas' army. But still, like, Pandavas were about, like, basically more strengthened because of the presence of Krishna and guidance of Krishna. And in the first section, like, Duryodhana gives arguments and his diplomatic arguments by like challenging his superiors like Dronacharya and Bhishmadev. So that goes on for 10 verses. And then after that, uh, like once Bhishmadev hears Duryodhana's arguments, Bhishmadev doesn't become happy because Duryodhana is very diplomatic to bring out different weaknesses, and indirectly he is challenging his superiors that you should not become weak-hearted in the battle. So that's why Bhishmadev blows the conch. And then finally, basically, once Bhishmadev blows the conch, everybody else also blows the conch from the Pandava side also. Arjuna blowed his conch, Krishna blowed his conch, Panchajanya, Bhima his conch. And that blowing of the conch had different effect on different parties. So the Kauravas were feeling shattered and broken in their hearts because it was a transcendental vibration, right? So generally, when we do kirtan, the demons fly away from that place because they have so many demoniac propensities. So they go away because they are not able to tolerate the purity of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So similarly, like the sound of the vibration of the conch shell of Pandavas was very very shattering to the heart of Kauravas, and same sound was very very motivating for the Pandavas. So yeah, so just like when Narsimhadev appeared, different devotees had different reaction. The soldiers of Hiranyakashipu were running towards him to kill him, and demigods were fearful to see the ferocious form of the Lord. And if you see Prahlad was totally absorbed and immersed, seeing the transcendental form of the Lord. He was just amazed at the beauty of the Lord, at the ferociousness of the Lord. So different people might have different reactions for the same event, depending on their disposition of heart. So similarly, here we see that when the conch shells are blown, the effect is different for the two parties. And finally, when the conch shell is blowing is complete, then Arjuna asks Krishna to bring the chariot between the two armies so that he can see that the party with whom he has to fight. So after that, Arjuna sees that he sees all the relatives, all his superiors, spiritual masters, all his grandsons were there in the battlefield on the opposite side, and he has to kill them. So basically, then he start becoming weak-hearted, and he doesn't want to fight. So he gives four reasons why he doesn't want to fight in first chapter, and the fifth reason he gives in the second chapter. So this is the bird's eye view of first chapter, and today we'll cover only the first two sections. So yeah, let's see. Uh, so as I said, in the first verse, धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेतायुयोत्सवा मामका पांडवश्चैव किमकरोत् Sanjay. O Sanjay, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? So this is a silly question, right? And that is because of the weak-heartedness of Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra is spiritually blind. Not only he is materially blind, but he is spiritually blind also because of his weak-heartedness. Because Krishna tried his every effort. Krishna approached Kauravas to ask 5 villages for Pandavas so that the battle need not happen. But Duryodhana completely denied. And then Krishna requested Dhritarashtra also, you should convince Duryodhana. But Dhritarashtra could not convince because of his weak-heartedness and like his inability to see spiritual things. And here in the last paragraph, Prabhupada writes that both the Pandavas and sons of Dhritarashtra belong to the same family, but Dhritarashtra's mind is disclosed here. He deliberately claimed only his sons as Kurus, and he separated the sons of Pandu from the family heritage. One can thus understand the specific position of Dhritarashtra in his relationship with his nephews, the sons of Pandu. As in the paddy field, the unnecessary plants are taken out. So it is expected from the very beginning of these topics that in the religious field of Kurukshetra, where the father of religion, Sri Krishna, was present, the unwanted plants like Dhritarashtra's son, Duryodhana, and others would be wiped out. And the thoroughly religious persons headed by Yudhishthir would be established by the Lord. This is the significance of the words Dharmakshetra and Kurukshetra, apart from their historical and Vedic importance. Yeah, because Krishna is the ultimate, like the master master player, right? So he does one thing and he achieves three things. So he is arranging the battle and he is motivating Arjuna to fight so that all the demons they can be killed in one shot, and Yudhishthir can be made the king of all the devotees. So Krishna is so expert like that. Because Arjuna, although Arjuna is giving so many reasons, like Shraddha ceremony will not happen and the entire kingdom will not be protected. So Arjuna is seeing frustration from his born out of his expectation because his expectation is to enjoy the kingdom with his family members. But because of his and because of this weak-heartedness, he's giving these 4 5 reasons. But Krishna still says that you should fight, or whatever reasons you are giving, that is on a dharmic level. But I'm telling you the paradharma, sarva dharman pariteju. You have to follow my instruction. So by that, Krishna convinced. That's what like the entire Bhagavad Gita is. That at the end of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna becomes completely convinced, and Arjuna becomes completely enlightened. His all his ignorance is like dissolved. Nasta moha smritir labdha. So like this, his intelligence is very very clear that he wants to fight. So that is a purpose why like Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to enlighten Arjuna. And it is said that Arjuna is a pure devotee of the Lord, but still he is assuming as a conditioned soul in front of Krishna, just so that the Bhagavad Gita can be spoken. For example, Parikshit Maharaj also, right? Like generally these things Krishna arranges. Parikshit Maharaj was cursed by Shringi, and Parikshit Maharaj's power was such that he could have counter cursed also. But he accepted that curse and he thought ki the best way to do is prepare for the next life by hearing Bhagavatam from Sukdev Goswami on the banks of river Ganges. So he sat on the bank of river Ganges for 7 days without eating anything, without drinking anything. He was just wanted to drink the rasa of the sound of Sukdev Goswami. So like that, basically Sukdev spoke the entire Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. So yeah, so that curse resulted in this transcendental event, and this here Arjuna is posing as a conditioned soul, so that Krishna can speak Bhagavad Gita for the welfare of all the other citizens. Okay, so we'll see the lesson plan also. So basically, this is the objective of today's lesson. That by the end of the lesson, students should be able to present an overview of the situation leading up to Krishna speaking of Bhagavad Gita. So the situation is basically this: that Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra they are not willing to give 5 villages also to Pandavas because Duryodhana says that even if I give you one prick of land, I know that you will expand that to more. I know that this Krishna is very naughty, and so I will not give even a pinprick of land. But actually, land is required for a Kshatriya. So he said, like I will not give. So that's why the war was imminent because you are denying. So as we read in Ishopanishad, Ishavashamidam Sarvam, you are denying the quota of a particular living entity. So 5 villages are bare minimums. So that's why it led to Krishna speaking Bhagavad Gita. Second is explain the significance of phrases Dharma Kshetra. So Dharma Kshetra is that so the war is happening on Kurukshetra, where all the ritualistic sacrifices have happened, and so many auspicious things have happened. Right. So that's why it is called Dharma Kshetra. And obviously, like all the demoniac, so Krishna comes to kill the demons and to protect the devotees, right? Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chatuskritam. So that transcendental things, those are going to happen on this battlefield of Kurukshetra. That's why also this is called Dharmashetra. That's what is explained in the last paragraph of the first verse. Okay. And then like next is we should be able to understand and give examples of Duryodhana's diplomacy with reference to these verses 3 to 11. And the fourth one, which is the final one, is the understanding the significance of Arjuna's ordering Krishna and Bhagavad Gita, Senayor Ubayor Madhye, Ratha Sthapya Mayachyut. Okay, so with that, we will continue reading the third verse. So I hope everybody of you has Bhagavad Gita. So you can keep it with you and we can read together. Sanjay Vacha Drishtva tu Pandavanikam Vyudam Duryodhanastada Acharyam Upasangamya Raja Vachanama Brabhi. Sanjay said, O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhan went to his teacher and spoke the following. So Duryodhana is like he has mixed emotions because the army arranged by Pandavas is very, very expert. Although they are less in number, but the structure of the army is very amazing. And so many expert warriors like Drishtadyumna are there as the Senapati. So let's see what Duryodhana says. Pashyadam Panduputranam Acharya Mahatim Chamum Vyudam Drupada Putrena Tavashishyena Dhimata. O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada. So Duryodhana is a great diplomat, wanted to point out the defects of Dronacharya, the great Brahmana commander-in-chief. Duryodhana had some political quarrel with King Drupada, the father of Draupadi, who was Arjuna's wife. As a result of this quarrel, Drupada performed a great sacrifice by which he received the benediction of having a son who would be able to kill Dronacharya. So Drupada's son was Dhristadyumna, who had arranged the entire army of Pandavas. And Drupada had an enmity with Duryodhana. So had an enmity with Dronacharya. So although like Dronacharya knew that the son of Drupada would kill Dronacharya, but still Dronacharya did not deny him in giving Brahmanical education of fighting. So this is the liberation, like liberal nature of Brahmanas. So Brahmana is liberal and conditioned soul is Kripana. He's miser. He's not liberal. So that's what basically like a Brahmana is so liberal that he teaches Bhagavad Gita to his enemies also because he's expecting that sound vibration will purify his enemy also. And ultimately, if Krishna wants to kill him, he will be killed. And if he doesn't want to kill, then he will. Nobody can kill him, right? So Dronacharya did that thing by giving that knowledge to Drishtadyumna, who was the son of Drupada. And because of that, Duryodhana is disappointed with Dronacharya because that same Drishtadyumna has arranged the army of Pandavas. So, although the superiors should not be given these diplomatic arguments and they should not be counter question, right? But we see that Duryodhana is doing all these things in a diplomatic way here for Dronacharya. अत्र शूरा महेश्वासः भीमार्जुनः समायुधि युयुधानो विराटश्च द्रुपदश्च महारथः. Here in this army are many heroic women equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjuna, great fighters like Yuyudhan, Virat, and Drupada. Even though Drishtadyumna was not a very important obstacle in the face of Dronacharya's very great power in the military art, there were many others who were causes of fear. They are mentioned by Duryodhana as great stumbling blocks on the path of victory because each and every one of them was as formidable as Bhima and Arjuna. He knew the strength of Bhima and Arjuna and thus he compared the others with them. So Duryodhana is actually expressing all his insecurities to Dronacharya. Drishtaketusche Kashirajascha Virvan Purajit Kunti Bhojascha Savyascha Narapungava. So great. So he continues uttering the names of great fighters like Drishtaketu, Chekitan, Kashiraj, Purajit Kunti Bhoj, and Savya. युधामन्युश्च विक्रान्तः उत्तमोजश्च वीर्यवान् स्वभद्रो द्रौपदेयश्च सर्व एव महारथः. So there are the mighty Yudhamanyu, the very powerful Uttamaja, son of Subhadra, and sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters. Asmakam tu visishtaye tan niboda dvijottama nayakamam sainyasya sangyartam tan bravimite. But for your information, O best of the Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force. So although he is very insecure, but now he would like to glorify his own side so that he can motivate Dronacharya and Bhishmadev. So this is a diplomatic argument, right? In the heart, he's feeling insecure that what will happen. Krishna is on the side of Pandavas. There are so many good personalities, and now he's glorifying his own side. So he himself is also a little bit confused, but he's trying to motivate Dronacharya and Bhishmadev. So this is a typical diplomat, typical if you see a political leader also, these days. He speaks like this. He himself is also confused, and he makes the entire all the citizens also confused by his speech. So actually, the real speech is when you are totally confident about the absolute truth in your heart, and then that absolute truth reaches your mind also, and your mind, heart, and speech are aligned. So whatever is in your mind, that is aligned with your heart, and whatever is in your mind, that you speak. So the speech, the mind, and the heart, they are aligned. And in case of Duryodhana, we can see that like nothing is aligned. So he can like he is expressing his insecurities, and he's trying to diplomatically deal with the elders. There are personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwatthama, Vikarna, and son of Somadatta called Bhurishrava, who are always victorious in battle. Duryodhana mentions the exceptional heroes in the battle, all of whom are ever victorious. Vikarna is the brother of Duryodhana, Ashwatthama is the son of Dronacharya and Samaditi, or Bhurishrava is the son of king of the Balikas. Karna is the half brother of Arjuna, and as he was born of Kunti before her marriage with the king Pandav. Kripacharya's twin sister married Dronacharya. So these are all the warriors who are on the side of Kauravas. अन्ये च बहवः सूरा मदर्थे त्यक्तजीविता नानाशास्त्रप्रहाराणां सर्वे युद्धा विशारदा. There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons, and all are experienced in military science. As far as the others are concerned, like Jayadratha, Kritavarma, and Salya, all are determined to lay down their lives for Duryodhana's sake. In other words, it is already concluded that all of them would die in the battle of Kurukshetra for joining the party of the sinful Duryodhana. Duryodhana was confident of his victory on account of the above mentioned combined strength of his friends. So these are all false hopes which Duryodhana had. अपर्याप्तं तदस्माकं बलं भीष्माभिरक्षितं पर्याप्तं द्वैदमेतेषां बलं भीमाभिरक्षितम्. Our strength is immeasurable and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of Pandavas carefully protected by Bhima is limited. Yeah. Anybody wants to read the purport? Pragya Mataji, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Purport. Herein, an estimation of comparative strength is made by Duryodhan. He thinks that the strength of his armed forces is immeasurable, being specifically protected by the most experienced general, grandfather Bhishma. On the other hand, the forces of the Pandavas are limited, being protected by a less experienced general, Bhim, who is like a fig in the presence of Bhishma. Duryodhan was always anxious of Bhim because he knew perfectly well that if he die, he should die at all, he would only be killed by Bhim. But at the same time, he was confident of his victory on account of the presence of Bhishma, who was a far superior general. His conclusion that he would come out of the battle victorious was well ascertained.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. So here you can see like there are so many calculations going on in Duryodhana's mind. So although Duryodhana knew that only Bhim can kill him because they were both trained by Balram in the art of Gada, right? So Duryodhana had so many insecurities, but then also he is glorifying Bhishma, and he was confident of his own victory. So, so like this, there is a lot of confusion, lot of diplomacy going on in the heart and in the mind of Duryodhana. So that's why like he is actually indirectly offending his superiors. अयनेषु च सर्वेषु यथा भागम् अवस्थितः भीष्ममेवाभिरक्षन्तु भवन्तः सर्वैर्भिः. All of you must now give full support to Grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army. So Duryodhana, after praising the prowess of Bhishma, further considered that others might think that they had been considered less important. So in his usual diplomatic way, he tried to adjust the situation in the above words. He emphasized that Bhishma Dev was undoubtedly the greatest hero, but he was an old man, so everyone must especially think of his protection from all sides. He might become engaged in the fight and the enemy might take advantage of his full engagement on one side. Therefore, it was important that other heroes not leave their strategic positions and allow the enemy to break the phalanx. Duryodhan clearly felt that the victory of the Kurus depended on the presence of Bhishmadev. He was confident of the full support of Bhishmadev and Dronacharya in the battle because he well knew that they did not even speak a word when Arjuna's wife Draupadi, in her helpless condition, had appealed to them for justice while she was being forced to appear naked in the presence of all great generals in the assembly. Although he knew that the two generals had some sort of affection for the Pandavas. He hoped that these generals would now completely give it up, as they had done during the gambling performance. So Duryodhana was totally confident that Bhishmadev and Dronacharya are totally qualified and they will not rebel. So as we see in Bhagavatam also, Bhishmadev is firing arrows at Arjuna like anything, like just like a sun. The sun rays are emitting from the sun. The arrows were emitting from Bhishmadev. So Bhishmadev is a really qualified person. He is one of the Mahajanas. And that's why Duryodhana is very, very confident of his victory. But still, in spite of the great qualification of Bhishmadev, he is saying that others also that you try to cover Bhishmadev so that he is not. So indirectly, he's challenging his strength. So these are all like diplomatic arguments. Although he's a great qualified person, but still you should support him. You should cover him on the other directions. So these are all like confused diplomatic arguments by Duryodhana. तस्य सञ्जनयन् हर्षं कुरु वृद्धा पितामहः सिंहनादं विनद्योच्चैः शङ्खं दद्मो प्रतापवान्. Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making a sound like the roar of a lion, giving Duryodhana joy. So actually, Bhishmadev was not happy by the words of Duryodhana, by the diplomatic words, and that's why he blew the conch shell. And this is one principle that, like, if a superior he doesn't like your speech or he doesn't like your etiquette, then he might not convey you directly. But his silence is sufficient to convey that he is not liking that. So it's not necessary that everything will be conveyed to you verbally, but we have to understand the mood of our superiors, mood of our spiritual master. So that's what Bhishma Dev is conveying here. Okay. So that's what here it's written that Bhishmadev could understand the inner meaning of the heart of Duryodhana. Out of his natural compassion for him, he tried to cheer him by blowing his conch. So Duryodhana appeared very confused, very diplomatic, and it looks like he is trying to motivate others, but he himself is not motivated. So this is the greatest diplomacy, greatest duplicity, and greatest you can also say kutinati, right? So in devotional service, we should never be duplicitous. Like sometimes in our heart, we are carrying something else, we are speaking something else. That is duplicity. Krishna doesn't like it. If something is bothering us, we should directly speak to the other person. But sometimes, like if there are like subordinates, there are some grandchildren, sometimes we have to take care of them. So every time we cannot burst out with our negative emotions. We have to control them and then discuss them at a point of time when they are not affected, right? So both the things have to be in a balanced way. We have to do, like, we should not do duplicity also, and we should manage our negative emotions also, so that the negative energy doesn't influence other folks of whom we have taken responsibility. So that is, yeah. So now basically the conch shell blowing will take place. Different parties and different warriors will blow their own conch shells. तथा शङ्खाश्च भैर्यस्य पनवानकगोमुख सहसेवाभ्यय हन्यन्ता सशब्दस्तु मुलोऽभवत्. After that, the conch shells, drums, bugles, trumpets, and horns were all suddenly sounded, and the combined sound was tumultuous. So this Mahabharata was not a fight between cats and dogs. Like cats and dogs, they just immediately start fighting with each other, right? They jump on each other. But here you see that it's a Vedic war. So proper initiation is happening by blowing of conch shells. And in the evening, everybody is taking rest, and they might have friendly discussions also. Duryodhana is going into the tent of Yudhishthir and speaking very friendly way. So this is culture basically. This is the Vedic culture. that these are all qualified Kshatriyas who are fighting a battle which is a proper Vedic battle. Okay. तथा श्वेतैर्हयैर्युक्ते महति स्यन्दने स्थितौ माधव पाण्डवस्यैव शङ्खौ प्रदद्मतु. On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjuna, stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses, sounded their transcendental concerts. Okay. So, Aman Prabhu, you would like to read first what?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. In contrast with the conch shell blown by Vishnu Deva, the conch shell in the hands of Krishna, Arjuna described. Prabhu, it's not coming.
In the phone,
Purport.
it's not visible.
No, no.
Okay, maybe because of phone. Anybody else? Akshat Prabhu, you want to read?
Sure, Prabhuji.
I think there is a network glitch from my side.
Yeah, yeah. No problem, no problem.
In contrast with
I'll
the conch shell
open.
blown by Bhishma Deva, the conch shells in the hand of Krishna and Arjuna are described as transcendental. The sounding of the transcendental conch shell indicated that there was no hope of victory for the other side because Krishna was on the side of Pandavas. Jayastu Pandu Putranama Yeshe Paksham Janardana. Victory is always with the persons like the sons of Pandu because Lord Krishna is associated with them. And whenever and wherever the Lord is present, the goddess of fortune is also there because the goddess of fortune never lies alone without her husband. Therefore, victory and fortune were awaiting Arjuna, as indicated by the transcendental sound produced by the conch shell of Vishnu or Lord Krishna. Beside that, the chariot on which both the friends were seated, had been donated by Agni, the fire of God, to Arjuna, and this indicated that the chariot was capable of conquering all sides wherever it was drawn over the three worlds. Hare
Hmm.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, bro. So, Yatra Yogeshwaro Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shrir Vijayo Bhute, Dhruva Nitir Matir Mam. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. So this verse is telling about all the auspicious signs which are there, which are in the favor of Pandavas. The chariot is donated by Agni, and this chariot was able to conquer all the three directions of the world. And Krishna was on the side of Arjuna. The battle is going on in Kurukshetra, which is a Dharma Kshetra. So, like this, everything is in favor of Pandavas. Okay. Next verse. So, I think we can do one activity. So, as we discussed, that this duplicity and Kutinati, right, and dealing with negative emotions. So, does anybody like understood what I conveyed? That what is the difference between like not being duplicitous and dealing with your negative emotions? Can anybody explain? Prabjit Rao, yes, go ahead.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी wonderful.
Hare Krishna. No, thoda.
Yes प्रभु जी. प्रभु जी लाइक अगर हम डिप्लिसिटी की बात करें तो प्रभु जी जैसे कि भी होता है कि हम मुंह पे कुछ और होते हैं और पीठ पीछे कुछ और होते हैं कि हम बोलते कुछ और है और करते कुछ और है तो हम डिप्लिसिटी को उससे कनेक्ट कर सकते हैं और नेगेटिव इमोशन से लाइक कभी कोई चीज़ हम जैसे प्रभु जी फेस कर रहे हैं भक्ति में भी या हम अपनी डिवोशन लाइफ में भी फेस कर रहे हैं तो उसमें जैसे कुछ अप्स एंड डाउन्स आने लगते हैं जैसे चैंटिंग सही नहीं हो रही है और अपनी साधना सही नहीं है तो उसमें जो हम नेगेटिव इमोशन डील्स करते हैं तो उसको हम उससे कनेक्ट कर सकते हैं तो प्रभु जी ये डिफरेंस है कि एक में है कि हम किसी के सामने कैसे हैं और कैसा बिहेव कर रहे हैं और एक में है कि हम अपने अंदर से हम क्या फेस कर रहे हैं कि क्या रियलाइज कर रहे हैं उस चीज़ के बारे में
हाँ, correct, correct, correct. मतलब we have to manage our negative emotions. मतलब duplicity on one hand, we say that whatever we are inside, we should speak outside. For example, if I don't like a particular devotee, if I don't want to be with a devotee, so I should say to him that I don't like you, I don't want to be with you. But then, like, that might sour our relationship. That devotee might be a great devotee, and I am dependent on the mercy of that devotee, right? So we have to like pick our words. We should not be duplicitous, but we should not be we should not be too like straightforwardness is good. And suppose like somebody hurts you, right? Then you should clearly speak to him, because these days in Kali Yuga, like we are so much having so many mental struggles that little small things also like we become hurt. So we should directly convey to the other devotee, okay, this particular thing of yours hurted me. I really love you. I really like you. I really like your association. But still, this particular thing hurted my false ego. And you can also say that it hurted my false ego. It hurted my like pride. And so that will open up the discussion that what are the like at least you will understand that I am also not a pure devotee. I am also at a mixed level where my pride is there, my ego is there. That's why I became hurt. But at least that will open up the scope of that discussion. And then the other person might say, okay, I did not mean it this way, I meant it that way, and I'm sorry if if it got conveyed that way. So that discussion actually Krishna likes. Whenever two Vaishnavas discuss among each other about ways of Krishna, they like Krishna likes that discussion. So like that will open up the scope of that discussion. And negative emotions, like we have to manage, right? We have to elevate our emotions. For example, Arjuna was also feeling a lot of negative emotions. One probable action he could have considered was he could have ran away from the chariot. Okay, I don't want to fight. I don't want to associate with Krishna. I will go run away and like live with Yudhishthira and just live with my Pandavas in the forest. But he was bold enough to admit his weak-heartedness in front of Krishna, and he surrendered. In the second chapter, we'll see he surrendered. So our negative emotions can only be like elevated, or we can elevate our consciousness only when we take shelter of Krishna and his senior devotees. So negative emotions have to be conveyed in a palatable manner, and it's not like doing an avalanche. Avalanche, you know, right? Like if a little bit snow moves, then the entire so much snow moves, right? So one snow leads to moving other snow, and then the entire mountain is moving. So the triggering of negative emotion is like that. So once you start blaspheming, you continue blaspheming for some time. So that will that will destroy your devotional service. But instead of that, we have to express it palatably. If you just say that, okay, right now I'm not feeling so well, let me speak to you afterwards when I feel better. So this is also good rather than bursting out. So we have to manage before it becomes too hard. Yeah. Yes, Prabhu, Prabhuji, you want to say something?
यस प्रभु जी, एक बार जो गौरंगा दास जी हैं उन्होंने अपने लेक्चर में भी कहा था एक कि अगर हम किसी डिवोटी के साथ हमारा रिलेशनशिप है या फिर कोई हमारा पार्टनर है तो उनके साथ अगर अब कुछ होता है तो कुछ भी बात होती है तो उस एग्रेशन की जगह में उस एग्रेशन को डिस्कशन में बदलना चाहिए, क्योंकि प्रभु जी एग्रेशन से वो बात और बढ़ती है। अगर हम उसको डिस्कशन में बदल के सॉल्व करेंगे तो काफ़ी सॉल्यूशंस निकलेंगे। तो एक बार गौरंगा दास जी का लेक्चर हम देख रहे थे तो उन्होंने यही सेम बात कही थी।
Yes, Prabhu, yes. Because ultimately we are servants of Krishna, right? So if we discuss in mood of service, then it will be beneficial for both of us. And aggression will lead to offenses and it will lead to the other side, like Hathi Mata, right? So, yeah. So that's why we have to be emotionally aware. We have to be conscious of our consciousness. Then things will be easier for us. And sometimes we might not, like, because we are carrying so much conditioning from our past births, and this is Kali Yuga. So sometimes mistakes might happen. And then we should approach that Vaishnava and ask for forgiveness. And if he's not able to forgive at that moment, he might take some time. So let us give him that time, because sometimes the mistakes done are so grave that he's like devotees are not able to forgive immediately. So then we should give them time also to forgive. So that way, like, things will remain on the right path. Like otherwise, if you just keep it in your heart okay, this person screamed at me, I will never forgive him, he's so bad. So that will spoil your consciousness also. That is a victim mentality. That okay, this person has done so much wrong with me. So you are carrying that in your heart, and that is like a, so when you are carrying hot coal in your hand, then it will burn you first, right? So rather, it's better to like drop that hot coal by making that Vaishnav discussion, and that will elevate the consciousness of both the parties. Okay,
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
thank you for sharing. Right. Anybody else wants to share on this, like duplicity or dealing with negative emotions? Like any question or any instance of uh, anybody wants to share from his devotional life? Just bring the charge.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Ravi Prabhu. Aman Prabhu, yes, Prabhu. Right.
Yes, Prabhu. So I just like to share some of the points when we start in Krishna consciousness, we learn from our seniors, and we used to try to follow, especially whoever gets stamps in days and all. So initially, the days we are actually following them and doing whatever they are saying. But there will be a time when you will understand that this is duplicity, but means knowingly unknowingly you will be doing it. And my question is that means along with my question is that means how to avoid that and how to balance it. See, there will be a chance and you can't avoid because we are dealing with devotees and we are dealing in material world. So how to handle it? So
Actually, your voice was not very clear. So your
hello,
question. Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
now it's audible.
Yes, Prabhu. There is some disturbance in the background, but can you highlight the main keywords that you are asking a question
Main,
where you,
main keywords is that like we are sometimes we are bound to be duplicit. So how to avoid it? See, you can't say that every means we can't means we know that this is duplicity, but we are bound to act on that platform. So how to avoid that, or what are the ways to means minimize the means that duplicity?
yeah, that's a good question actually. Because we would not like to reveal our heart to everybody, right? So that is also a certain level of duplicity. So I think the best way to avoid duplicity is to become Krishna conscious. Like when we have Krishna in our heart, when we have deepest welfare in our heart for everybody else, then even though we might not be revealing everything to that devotee, but still we will have the best well wishing for that devotee. So that will not be called duplicity because ultimately everything you cannot share with everybody, right? And sometimes there are some things which you might not like about the other. So it's all about your consciousness actually. If your consciousness is elevated, then duplicity, it will not be called duplicity. Duplicity is when you are carrying something in your heart and you do something else, not revealing anything, or that is not actually duplicity because it's recommended, right? Like we should reveal our hearts only to the senior devotees. Dadati prati granati guhyam akyati prichati. So yeah, so there are many principles like wishing well for the other person. And this, there is one verse in the 18th chapter, austerity of mind. Mana prasada swamyatvam, monam atma vinigraha, bhava samshuddhi etat tapo manasam uchyate. So in the like as a sadhaka, we will receive these situations. We will like these situations will approach us, but ultimately somehow we have to take shelter of senior devotees and discuss about that. And that's why we have to purify our consciousness. Bhava samshuddhi iti eta tapo manasam uchyate. So we have to cultivate positive emotions by reading Shastra, by reading about the characters of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Haridas Thakur, Yudhishthir Maharaj, Draupadi. We have to cultivate that devotion, and that unalloyed devotion, that Shuddha Sattva, we have to cultivate. Then automatically there will be welfare, good wishing, well wishing for the other person. So it's all about our own consciousness. Like generally, that lamentation and that get back mentality, those things will spoil our own consciousness only. It will not give any benefit to us. So we have to elevate our consciousness somehow. Okay, bro.
Yes, so in nutshell, what you want to say, like we have to discuss with among with devotees, and we should
Yeah.
approach the seniors and make them understand
Yeah.
that uh, you are in this position and you can help me like that.
Yeah. So we have to approach those seniors who can elevate our consciousness. Basically, if we are not able to elevate our consciousness, then we should approach those senior devotees who can elevate our consciousness and who can mediate the discussion. Because generally, like when two ghosts come together, right? They fight with each other, and like modes of nature are in charge. Like you don't have control over their exchanges. So like it's better to avoid those situations and try to elevate ourselves by taking association of senior devotees. Okay, so we'll continue. पाञ्चजन्यं ऋषिकेशो देवदत्तं धनञ्जय पौण्ड्रं दद्मो महाशङ्खं भीमकर्मावृकोदरः. Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchajanya, Arjuna blew his the Devadatta, and Bhima, the voracious eater and performer of Herculean tasks, blew his terrific conch shell called Pondra. Lord Krishna is referred to as Rishikesh in this verse because he is the owner of all senses. The living entities are part and parcel of Krishna, and therefore the senses of the living entities are also part and parcel of his senses. So actually, our senses belong to Krishna, and that's the level we have to come to. That we have to please Krishna's senses, and indirectly our own senses will also become satisfied. The impersonalists cannot account for the senses of the living entities, and therefore they are always anxious to describe all living entities as senseless or impersonal. So that is the beauty of devotion also. Like when you are in devotional service, you have this opportunity to use your senses in service of Krishna. And you can go on Harinam, you can take prasadam, you can distribute prasadam, you can make loving exchanges with non-devotees also. So there is a lot of freeness and there is a lot of positivity rather than just neti, right? So there are a lot of positive activities. The Lord, situated in the heart of all living entities, directs their senses. But he directs in terms of the surrender of the living entity. And in the case of a pure devotee, he directly controls the senses. Here on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the Lord directly controls the transcendental senses of Arjuna, and thus his particular name of Rishikesha. The Lord has different names according to his different activities. For example, his name is Madhusudan because he killed the demon of the name Madhu. His name is Govinda because he gives pleasure to the cows and to the senses. His name is Vasudev because he appeared as the son of Vasudeva. His name is Devki Nandan because he accepted Devki as his mother. His name is Yashoda Nandan because he awarded his childhood pastimes to Yashoda at Vrindavan. His name is Parthasarthi because he worked as charioteer of his friend Arjuna. Similarly, his name is Rishikesh because he gave direction to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So actually, senses of Arjuna are completely under the control of Krishna because Arjuna is a surrendered soul. And Prabhupada is writing that according to one's surrender, Krishna directs the senses of that person. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sate bhajamyam mam vartmana nivartate manushya bharta sarvasya. Okay, in case of a pure devotee, right? So that's the beauty of these, remembering these words, right? I think somebody, one of you was telling, Ankush Prabhu was telling that these words are really wonderful. Like each word of Krishna is telling you the pastime of one pastime of that particular of Krishna, basically with a devotee. Okay, we'll skip this part. So here all the parties are blowing their conch. Ananta Vijayam Raja Kunti Putra Yudhishthara Nakula Sahadevasya Subhosha Manipushpatam Kasyasya Parame Subhasa Sakhandi Cha Maharatha Dristabhimno Viratasya Satyakisya Parajita Drupado Draupadeyasya Sarvasya Prithivipate Saubhadrasya Mahabahu Shankandadmo Vidaktita. So Ravi Prabhu, you would like to read translation and report? Or Prabhjit Prabhu, you can read.
Shall I read?
Yeah, Aman Prabhu, want to read it out.
So, King Yudhishthira, purport.
No, both you can read translation.
King Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, blew his conch shell. The Ananta Vijaya and Nakula and Sahadeva blew the Sughosa and Mani Puspaka. The great archer, the king of Kasi, the great fighter Sikhandi, Dhishtyadumna, Virata, the unconquerable Satyaki, Drupada, the sons of Draupadi, and others. O king, such as the mighty armed son of Subhadra, all blew their respective conches. Sanjay informed King Dhritarashtra very tactfully that his unwise policy of deceiving the sons of Pandu and endeavoring to enthrone his own sons on the seat of the kingdom was not very laudable. The signs already clearly indicated that the whole Kuru dynasty would be killed in that great battle, beginning with the grandsire Bhishma down to the grandsons like Abhimanyu and others, including kings from many states of the world. All were present there and all were doomed. The whole catastrophe was due to King Dhritarashtra because he encouraged the policy followed by his sons.
Yeah, so like the main reason for the war was Dhritarashtra, because Dhritarashtra could not convince Duryodhan, his own son, to give 5 villages to Pandavas. And indirectly, Sanjaya is conveying it to Dhritarashtra that there is very less hope for your sons to win this battle. Okay, so let's read the next words. सघोषोदार्तराष्ट्राणां हृदयानि व्यधारयत् नभस्य पृथिवीं चैव तुमुलो व्यानुनादयन्. Yeah, yes, Prabhjeet bro, you can read. Both translation and purport.
Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The blowing of these different concepts become appropriate, vibrating both in the sky on the earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. When Bhishma and the others on the side of Duryodhan blew their respective conches, there was no heartbreaking on the part of the Pandavas. Such occurrences are not mentioned, but in the particular verse it is mentioned that the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra were shattered by the sounds vibrated by the Pandavas' party. This is due to the Pandavas and their confidence in Lord Krishna. One who takes shelter of the Supreme Lord has nothing to fear, even in the midst of the greatest calamity.
Yeah, thank you, bro. So this is an interesting situation, right? Like whatever consuls are blown by Kauravas, there is no effect on Pandavas. Rather, they are feeling motivation to fight the war and win the war. And whatever consuls are blown by Pandavas, they are having a demotivating effect on the Kauravas. So that's why a devotee who takes shelter of Krishna, there is no fear for him. For example, uh, if you take Haridas Thakur or Chandra Roy, Haridas Thakur was beaten into 22 marketplaces, and like the markings, uh, the the iron whips by which Nawab Hussain Shah's soldiers were beating Haridas Thakur, they were beating him with the iron whips, and the markings were appearing on the body of Lord Chaitanya. So Haridas Thakur was totally fearless. Like he was not at all bothered about the beatings which he was getting from those soldiers. And similarly, Chandra Roy was uh, put into fight a mad elephant, and a mad elephant was running after him, and he just held the trunk of the elephant, and this trunk came out. So this Chandra Roy was the disciple of Narottam Das Thakur, and when he held the trunk of the elephant, he just remembered his guru, Narottam Das Thakur, and immediately the elephant died. The trunk came off. And scientists might say, okay, there might be some sound vibration which is transmitted by Chandra Roy to elephant, because of which elephant died. But actually, it was because of his Krishna consciousness that the elephant died, and the situation demanded that Krishna arranged that in that way. So, like this, a devotee is fearless. For example, Prahlad Maharaj also. But that fearlessness comes by hearing from authorities. When you have heard from the authorities for a considerable amount of time, then you become fixed, situated in that absolute truth. You are always connected to Krishna in your heart. That's what the consciousness was of Prahlad Maharaj. He had heard from Narad Muni in the womb for 10,000 celestial years. So that's why he was totally able to understand that Narad Muni is the person who has delivered him. That's what he's saying to Narsimadev also. That how can I ask for any other benediction apart from the service to my spiritual master? Because he's the one who has taken me out of this Ahikupa, out of this well of snakes. So that's how we have to understand that we are being taken out by other senior devotees from this Ahikupa, and then our Krishna consciousness will be strong. When we will understand we are just an instrument and we are always praying to the senior Vaishnavas for doing any service, then our Krishna consciousness will be very, very strong. And that's what Prahlad Maharaj is doing. And that's why he is fearless. Like even when he is thrown in the cliff, he is fearless. Whenever he is thrown in the poisonous snakes, he is fearless. So everywhere he is fearless. So that fearlessness comes from the spiritual connect. And that spiritual connect comes when we understand the mercy of which we are made of. We are made of the mercy of other devotees. We are not made of our own false ego or pride, but we are actually made of the mercy of devotees. We are made of the prayers of other devotees. Then we can become fearless. This fearlessness cannot be artificial, right? So we have to cultivate it. We have to cultivate that gratitude towards those Vaishnavas from whom we have received the bhakti. We have received the bhakti rasa. So the next verse. Atha vyavasita atha vyavasthitan drishtva dhartarashtraन् kapidvaja pravritte shastra sampate dhanurudyamya pandava rishikesham tadavakyam midam maha mahipate. At that time, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra drawn in military array, Arjuna then spoke to Lord Krishna these words. Yeah. Anybody wants to read the purport?
Yeah, I'll read through.
Yes, go ahead, Prabhu.
Okay. The battle was just about to begin. It is understood from the above statement that the sons of Dhritarashtra were more or less disheartened by the unexpected arrangement of military force by the Pandavas, who were guided by the direct instructions of the Lord Krishna on the battlefield. The emblem of Hanuman on the flag of Arjuna is another sign of victory, because Hanuman cooperated with Lord Rama in the battle between Rama and Ravana, and Lord Rama emerged victorious. Now, both Rama and Hanumana were present on the chariot of Arjuna to help him. Lord Krishna is Rama himself, and wherever Lord Rama is, his eternal servitor Hanumana and his eternal consort Sita, the goddess of fortune, are present. Therefore, Arjuna had no cause to fear any enemies whatsoever. And above all, the Lord of the senses, Lord Krishna, was personally present to give him direction.
Thus, all good counsel was available to Arjuna in the matter of executing the battle in such auspicious conditions arranged by the Lord for his eternal devotee, lay the signs of assured victory. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you. So actually, the same thing Prabhupada is conveying, that if we feel the spiritual shelter in the presence of Krishna, then we are sure of our victory. Because Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shochiti na kankshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate param. So we don't lament for anything, and we don't hanker for anything, because we are completely fully satisfied in the association of Krishna and all the other auspicious elements. So we are fully convinced of our victory. So let's read the next two verses. These are important verses. Okay. Arjuna vacha senayorubayormadhe ratham stapya me achyuta yavadeta niriksheham yuddho kaman avastitan kairmaya sah yodhavyam asmin rana samudyame. Arjuna said, O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies, so that I may see those present here who desire to fight, and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms. Although Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, out of his causeless mercy he was engaged in the service of his friend. He never fails in his affection for his devotees, and thus he is addressed herein as infallible. So Bhavagrahi Janardana, right? Krishna reciprocates according to our Bhava. And he never fails his devotee. He always keeps the vow, words of his devotees. And that's why he killed Bhishma Dev in the battle of Kurukshetra, because he wanted to protect the words of, he wanted to protect Arjuna, and he wanted to keep the words of Bhishma Dev. And he broke his own vow to protect the words of our devotee. Although he had accepted the position of a charioteer for his devotee, his supreme position was not challenged. In all circumstances, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Rishikesh, the Lord of the total senses. The relationship between the Lord and his reservoir and his servitor is very sweet and transcendent. The servitor is always ready to render service to the Lord, and similarly, the Lord is always seeking an opportunity to render some service to the devotee. He takes greater pleasure in his pure devotees assuming the advantageous position of ordering him than he does in being the giver of orders. Since he is master, everyone is under his orders, and no one is above him to order him. But when he finds that a pure devotee is ordering him, he obtains transcendental pleasure, although he is the infallible master in all circumstances. As a pure devotee of the Lord, Arjuna had no desire to fight with his cousins and brothers, but he was forced to come onto the battlefield by the obstinacy of Duryodhana, who was never agreeable to any peaceful negotiation. Therefore, he was very anxious to see who the leading persons present on the battlefield were, although there was no question of a peacemaking endeavor on the battlefield. He wanted to see them again and to see how much they were bent upon demanding an unwanted war. Yeah. Okay, so Krishna is always eager to serve his pure devotee, and pure devotee is always eager to serve Krishna. So that is the essence here. And just by imagining this situation that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God, that he has agreed to take the position of a charioteer, that brings tears in the eyes of a Kurma Brahmana, right? Anybody knows the story of Kurma Brahmana here of South India? Yes. Nobody knows? Okay. Yes. Okay, you don't know. Okay, then read about it. Kurma Brahmana, South India story. Okay, and that is your homework for today. And I'll ask for that in the next class. Okay.
Prabhu, Kurma Brahmana.
Yes, yes. Kurma Brahmana. So Lord Chaitanya, when he was doing the tour of South India, he met a Kurma Brahmana in Kurma Kshetra.
It's Kurma na.
Yes, Prabhu?
What is the spelling of Kurma? Kurma na, Prabhu. Kurma.
Yes, yes, Prabhu, yes. So he was unable to read the Bhagavad Gita, but still he. So you have to tell that. You have to find out what happened there, and then you have to tell. Okay. So anybody would like to read this
Actually,
word?
I
You know this
just
story.
recalled that pastime. That Kurma Brahmana,
Okay, Prabhu, you
where,
don't tell. You tell in the next class. Okay, Prabhu.
okay, sorry. Just now, you just said, nah, Lord Chaitanya's pastime with him, so I understood that.
Yeah, do some more research and try to
Okay,
give the entire story in the next class.
yeah,
I
yeah,
will. That will be the first question.
okay.
We will discuss it. So, Pragya Mataji, can you read this verse translation and purport? The 23rd verse. Pragya Mataji, are you there? You.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, आपने हमारा नाम लिया.
Yes, Mataji, you can read
Yes
this
प्रभु.
verse, and just like I am reading, you can also read.
योत्स्यमानाम् अवेक्षे हम यायतेऽत्र समागतः धार्तराष्ट्रस्य दुर्बुद्धेर्युद्धे प्रिया चिकीर्षवाः. Translation: Let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. Purport: It was an open secret that Duryodhan wanted to usurp the kingdom of the Pandavas by evil plans in collaboration with his father Dhritarashtra. Therefore, all persons who had joined the side of Duryodhan must have been birds of the same feather. Arjun wanted to see them on the battlefield before the fight was begun, just to learn who they were. But he had no intention of proposing peace negotiations with them. It was also a fact that he wanted to see them to make an estimate of the strength which he had to face, although he was quite confident of victory because Krishna was sitting by his side.
Can you explain, Mataji, a little bit?
यस प्रभु जी. अर्जुन देखना चाहते थे कि कौन कौन जो है लड़ने के लिए आया है उनसे, और कौन कौन जो है वो इवल माइंडेड है जो धृतराष्ट्र की साइड में है. और अर्जुन को यहाँ पर ट्रस्ट था कि वो ही जीतेंगे क्योंकि भगवान कृष्ण उनके साथ में थे.
Yeah, so this is a sign of a intelligent devotee, right? Before getting into any situation, he gauges the situation, the people with whom he is dealing. So whenever you have to fight with Maya, then you have to understand that how strong is Maya and what are my weak points. So all the strengths and weaknesses Arjuna is gauging so that he can fight nicely. Yeah. Mataji, can you read next verse also?
यस प्रभु जी. संजय उवाच एवमुक्तो ऋषिकेशो गुणाकेश भारत सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये स्थापयित्वा रथोत्तमाम्. Translation: Sanjay said, O descendant of Bharat, having thus been addressed by Arjun, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties.
Yes, you can read the purport also.
तो संजय जो है वो yes. Purport: In this verse, Arjun is referred to as Gunakesh. Guna means sleep, and one who conquers sleep is Gunakesh. Sleep also means ignorance. So Arjun conquered both sleep and ignorance because of his friendship with Krishna. As a great devotee of Krishna, he could not forget Krishna even for a moment. Because because that is the nature of a devotee. Either in waking or in sleep, a devotee of the Lord can never be free from thinking of Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Thus, a devotee of Krishna can conquer both sleep and ignorance simply by thinking of Krishna constantly. This is called Krishna consciousness or samadhi. As Rishikesh, or the director of the senses and mind of every living entity, Krishna could understand Arjun's purpose in placing the chariot in the midst of the armies. Thus, he did so and spoke as follows.
Yeah, so Krishna
Hare
knows.
Krishna Prabhuji.
You have to read one more verse, Matu. Actually, Krishna knows the heart of all devotees. So that's what. So this verse is very important because next section is a little bit more verses are there. So we'll read 2, 3 verses today. Minutes. Okay, maybe I will read. भीष्मद्रोण प्रमुखतः सर्वेषां च महिक्षिताम् उवाच पार्थ पश्येतान् समवेतान् कुरुनिति. In the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, "Just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here." As the super soul of all living entities, Lord Krishna could understand what was going on in the mind of Arjuna. The use of the word Rishikesh in this connection indicates that he knew everything. And the word Partha, meaning the son of Pritha or Kunti, is also similarly significant in the reference to Arjuna. As a friend, he wanted to inform Arjuna that because Arjuna was the son of Pritha, the sister of his own father Vasudeva, he had agreed to be the charioteer of Arjuna. Now, what did Krishna mean when he told Arjuna to behold the Kurus? Did Arjuna want to stop there and not fight? Krishna never expected such things from the son of his aunt Pritha. The mind of Arjuna was thus predicted by the Lord in friendly, joking way. So, behold the Kurus means basically uh, Krishna could understand that Arjuna is feeling this weak heartedness of seeing his own relatives on the side of Kurus, on the side of Kauravas. And that's why Krishna is in advance telling this that you will have to behold here. You have to hold your chariot here because now you are feeling this heat in your heart. So Krishna knew the state of the mind, state of the heart of Arjuna. So from here, basically the like Arjuna will start describing what he was feeling. तत्र पश्य स्थितान् पार्थाः पितॄन्नथ पितामहान् आचार्यान् मातुलान् भ्रात्रान् पुत्रान् पौत्रान् सखींस्तथा श्वशुरान् सौहृदश्चैव सेनयोरुभयोरपि. So this phrase is important. Senayorubayor. There, Arjuna could see within the midst of armies of both parties his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his fathers in law and well wishers. On the battlefield, Arjuna could see all kinds of relatives. He could see persons like Bhurishrava, who were his father's contemporaries, grandfathers Bhishma and Somadatta, teachers like Dronacharya and Kripacharya, maternal uncles like Shalya. Like he could see all the armies which contained many of his friends. Okay. Yeah, just a second. So actually, like reading Bhagavad Gita is very, very auspicious. Even so, you can just a second. So maybe you all can take turns, and I'll just turn the slides, and you can read this. Yeah, Prabjit Rao, you can read this quote by Prabhupada.
Yes, Prabhuji. The Duryodhan diplomacy. Dronacharya knew that Drupad Maharaj has got his son. In future, the word kill me. Still, when he was offered to become his disciple to learn military art, he accepted. Yes, it means the Brahmanas were so liberal. When he is coming as my disciple, never mind, he would kill me in future. That doesn't matter, but I must give him teaching. Bhagavad Gita 1.2 and 3, London, July 9, 1973. Nirbandhukane Sambandhe. So people may ask that by mentioning these great fighters, what spiritual progress we make, because we are meant for chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So by chanting the so by chanting the names of these great fighters, what do we gain? The question may be raised there.
Okay, bro, we'll continue next time then. We'll read this entire slide and we'll end the first lesson, first chapter. Okay. So yeah. Thank you all for joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.